Hi everyone, welcome back to Unmasking the Magic. I'm Sharon Atkinson. You might know me from previous episodes, or maybe not. This might be the first one that you're kind of catching today. So if this is your first time here, welcome. So excited to have you. And today I actually want to talk about something that gets under my skin a little bit. And these are some misconceptions about what it takes to manifest. So and specifically, I'm going to be diving into vibration, raising your vibration, and also limiting beliefs. Because not everyone wants to, clear their limiting beliefs. And I understand why. Because you're in a constant state of manifestation. So why should you bother? Like, what's that about? Why do people go down that path in the first place? Like, what is the point? Because it seems like a lot of work. It's really hard to do. And like it is, if you're using things like affirmations to try to replace a belief, it's just not going to work. Like you can create a new belief, but you're not replacing the old one. So I'm going to help you understand more about why that is and what you can do about that. And some of you might already know that once you kind of get your limiting beliefs and things under control and you know how to get rid of the ones permanently that no longer serve you, the ones that are interfering with what you were trying to achieve in your life, once you do that, you know the benefits of this. But kind of getting to that point is really challenging. And saying things like 50 million times a day, repeating statements 50 million times a day to create a new belief is not really creating a belief. You're creating a statement, a perspective that you don't really have any supporting evidence for yet. So, and your beliefs don't work that way. Like you're not creating beliefs in that framework. You create beliefs very differently. And you really need the evidence, all those examples and things to make your beliefs stick. And that sort of stuff I'm going into more detail with in a workshop I've got coming up inside the Metaphysical live stream. And inside that, I'm actually taking people through a framework, a creation framework, where they can learn to navigate limiting beliefs and stay in a constant state of intentional manifestation once they kind of get that under control. So I'm going to help people do that as well. And that's in a workshop coming up. So I'm going to put the link in the description box there. And I'll tell you more about this later as well. And yeah, it's going to be I might ruffle a few feathers today. That's okay. That's kind of how I roll. But it's from a very loving place. So if you find yourself being triggered a little bit during this discussion today, fantastic. Because when you're triggered, that is the first indication that you have a limiting belief about something that you need to pay attention to. So if I can do that for you today, it's out of a very loving place. And I really want to bring your awareness to different aspects that are blocking you so that you can do something about it and take charge. So that's what we're covering today. Stick around. It's going to be an amazing, amazing day. Welcome to Unmasking the Magic, where the mystical meets the practical and fuels your success. I'm your host, Sharon Atkinson, and I'll be your metaphysical maverick on this journey, where every week we'll pull back the curtain to reveal how concepts such as intuition, manifestation, and the quantum field, and pretty much everything else otherworldly, can help empower you to reach new levels of success, meaning and fulfillment in business, career, and life. Get ready to be inspired, enlightened, and empowered, and let's unmask the magic together. Okay, are you ready? The first thing I want to talk about is this idea that you need to match the vibration of your desire. You've probably heard this before. Let me know if you have. That you need to raise your vibration to be a match to whatever it is you're trying to manifest in your life. So this is a common belief, right? And this is not correct. It's just not. So your vibrational state, right? Your vibration refers to your state. It doesn't refer to an object. Because if I pick up this pen, like this pen has absolutely no vibration whatsoever. Like this pen does not radiate with happiness or joy or anything else. My phone doesn't either. My phone's not vibrating or, at any particular frequency other than the one making it in a too solid form. That's the only thing it's vibrating at. It's not vibrating at a level of love or joy or happiness or, any of these things that you're kind of encouraged to get into in order to have whatever it is that you want. That's not how it works. Like your vibration is referring to your emotional state, right? It's not referring to an object. It's not referring to $50 million. It's not referring to a new car because your car itself doesn't have emotion. You can never be a match to a solid object like a pen or a car. Like you just can't, you know? So what does this mean when people say you have to raise your vibration to manifest your desire? Oh, okay. So I'm going to take you through and ask you some questions so you can kind of come to some conclusions for yourself. Okay. So actually, before we do that, just like think about it, right? Like, what is your most common vibrational state? Like, you happy 90% of the day, bouncing off the walls with joy and excitement? Do you get annoyed easily? Do things like, get under your skin quite easily? Or do you have an interaction with someone you think, God, the world's full of stupid people? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, what do you like? How do you show up in the world? Are you showing up from this place of, yeah, everyone's cool, everyone has their own opinion, their own beliefs, I've got mine, they've got theirs, that's fantastic. They're in their lane, they've got their dancing space, I've got my dancing space, the world's this happy place. Is that how you're showing up? Or are you showing up in a way where things really bother you and you have like judgments about the world, like how the intelligence of the people around you and that sort of thing? And then looking on the bright side of things, because if you're constantly looking on the bright side of things, you're not in a good place. Like your vibration is not naturally in a high state. You're reframing situations to get back to feeling good about the world, which there's nothing wrong with, right? And this is different for everybody. Like the majority of the time for me, like I'm in a fantastic mood. I'm in a great frame of mind, great vibrational state. Like I live in this space because I've done a lot of work to get there. However, there are still moments where I don't feel that, and it might not be my natural state like 100% of the time, all day, every day. I'm not making any wild claims that it is because I don't live in a state of bliss, you know. I'm married and sometimes my husband does things and I'm like, why is he doing that? So, however, so what's your state? Like what's your natural state that you kind of live in? And just be really honest with yourself because this is your vibrational state for a reason. And whatever you're manifesting, if you want it to show up in your life, you need to manifest from the vibrational state that you're in the majority of the time. And I'll explain why. Okay, so if you are, most people will watch something funny. They go through this big kind of routine to raise their vibration before they sit down to intentionally try to manifest something into their life, which is great. You do what you got to do. However, the problem with that is that if you're not in that state for the majority of the day, you're not going to be a vibrational match to that experience that you're trying to manifest. So if you're trying to manifest like a new car or a new house or some money, new relationship, and in those scenarios that you're manifesting, you're so happy and over the moon and, the birds are singing, the sun's shining, you're in this fantastic new house and all these wonderful things have happened and you feel elated about life, but then you go back to your everyday life and it's nothing like it. This future reality, this future experience that you're manifesting exists, but it exists when eventually you raise your vibration to that level so that you are a match to it. Do you see what I mean? So while you're in a completely different vibe, like all day, every day, to this imaginary scenario that you're creating because you want to manifest it, while you're not a vibrational match to it, it can't come into your life because you're not in that high level state yet. So you're unintentionally causing this delay. Like, when are you going to get there? When are you going to get to this state of being, elated and walking around on cloud nine? When's that going to happen? Like, you might feel that way once you have these things, like, yes, I've got it, I've got it, I've got it. I've got the car, I've got the house, I've got the this, I've got the that. You might feel really proud of what you've achieved, but then you can still get annoyed if you've got your new car and you're driving along and you're stuck in traffic, someone cuts you off, people don't indicate, someone's stuck at, an intersection, giving way to some imaginary traffic. Like, all those things can still bother you. They can still get under your skin. You're not sitting there magically in a joyful state because someone cut you off in traffic, or you could get to your destination 5 minutes faster if the person in front of you wasn't, giving way to the imaginary cars. There's things that are still going to bother you, even when you get what you want to manifest. Even when you achieve it, things are still going to get under your skin. So think about that. Unintentionally or intentionally, no, unintentionally, yes, unintentionally, you unintentionally cause delays to your manifestation coming in when you do that. When you intentionally raise your vibration and get into a state so that it manifests, it's manufactured. It's not genuine. It's not sincere. It's not your natural operating state. It's not the state you vibe in for the majority of the day. So you're very rarely a match to this future event you've manifested, where you get the car and you get the house. You're causing a delay. So, okay, let me ask you this. I'm going to help you piece this together a little bit. So when it comes to money, okay. So I remember seeing something. It might have been, no, I can't actually remember who it was. But to be a vibrational match to extra money you want to come into your life, you have to be a vibrational match to that money. Okay. So what does this mean? So let me ask you some questions. How many billionaires and millionaires do you know, or have you've seen, that appear to be living in a high vibrational state all of the time? Because to me, like, some of them look pretty crabby, like, all the time. Every time you see an interview with them, they're very dry and they're very matter of fact. And to me, they don't come across as having a lot of love for life. But still, they've got the millions and the billions and the everything else. So what's that about? How come they get to have all the millions and the billions and be so crabby? And they might not be. So apologize if you're like a millionaire or billionaire and you come across that way. But you're actually a really joyful person. Like, I'm very sorry if that's going on for you. I don't mean to offend you. But, like, you get what I mean. Like, no one is in a high vibrational state all the time. Even the billionaires and billionaires of the world. They're just not. And does money equal joy and fulfillment for you? If you have more money, are all the things that bother you going to suddenly disappear? Are you suddenly going to be, more joyous in life because you've got more money? Like, I imagine, like, you would be pretty ecstatic if you, like, received $20 million out of thin air. Like, you'd be wrapped, like, so excited, got this money out of nowhere, woo woo. But then, are you going to be in that mood for the rest of your life? Probably not. Because life is still happening around you. You're still reacting to everything else going around you. And you might have some beliefs and stuff in the mix as well, where you think, I've got all this money now, everyone's going to come begging. People are going to start treating me like a bank. People are going to treat me like this. People are going to treat me like that. You might have a fear that people are going to use you because all of a sudden you have sudden wealth. Like there can be all these other things going on. And you're definitely not going to feel elated about that, you know? You can't ignore the life happening around you, and you can't pretend that um, magically you're in over the moon and you're so vibrant all the time because all of a sudden you've got, some extra cash or a new car or something else. Because having the thing that you're trying to manifest is not going to transform your life. It's going to give you a moment where you feel fantastic. But then, for example, if you say you've got a mortgage and then all of a sudden you've got, more than enough money that you can pay out your mortgage. You're like, yes, I've done it. Finally at this point. And, you call the bank and you're on the phone for half an hour and you're like, oh, I just want to pay out a figure. Why is this taking so long? So waiting. Finally, someone answers the phone at the bank and then they transfer you to another department because you've come through to the wrong area. They can't help you. You need to speak to someone else and then you get put on hold again because you've joined another queue. Are you going to be elated and happy and fantastic about that? No. People don't like dealing with call centers. People don't like waiting. People don't like being handballed around. Like, no one likes that. But if you're in a position to pay out your mortgage, like, is that going to change for you? Like, are you still going to be annoyed? Like, is that your reaction? Because if that's still going to be your reaction, then if you want to manifest paying off your house, build that into whatever visualization you're creating for yourself, because that's how you're going to react. That's your natural reaction at the moment. That's going to be a match to your natural vibrational state. That's how you're going to manifest faster. Not by pretending that, birds fly to you and, sunshine, you're so relaxed. And no, you're not relaxed when you're on hold for half an hour and you get transferred to another queue and you just want to know the payout figure so that you can transfer some cash onto your mortgage and, get your title back or the deed back to your property. Like, no one's excited about waiting hours on end on the phone to have that conversation. You're just not. So, okay. Can you tell that this really bothers me? I'm pretty sure you can. So, okay, let me calm down. Deep breaths. Okay. So, this is what I want you to get out of this little rant of mine today, is that you would have infinitely more success if you created visualizations for whatever it is you're trying to manifest in the state that you're in today. If you're in a bad mood, you can still manifest because you're manifesting in every moment anyway, so you can still manifest. But, and this is like a big caveat for this too. I might explain this in the next point. Yeah, I'll explain it later. No, I'll tell you now. Okay. So, if you manifest in low vibrational state, you're going to get what you want. Like, what you want is still going to show up for you. But it's going to show up in a way that still makes you feel the same. So if you're in a really foul mood and you're manifesting like a car, you'll get the car, but you're going to get it under circumstances that make you feel the same way. So don't do that. Like, don't manifest in a foul mood. Highly advise against that. Manifest in your dominant state, not when you've had a bad day, not when like you have this moment of bliss, you're on a holiday and you're so relaxed, and because you're not like that the majority of the time. The majority of your life is not in that state. So you're not a vibrational match to what you want to manifest. Figure out your state that you're in most of the time. Like, is it contentment? Is it just pretty neutral about life? Neutral's good. Like, pretty cruisy type of vibe. Neutral. If you're walking around angry all the time, then you're going to have to walk around, like manifest like from that angry energy to kind of get what you want. And then, but you will continue to experience things that you've manifested that make you angry, That's how it works. That's why if you want to change your future and like what you're manifesting in your life, and you want this future to be really happy and you want it to be really joyful, you need to live in the energy today that you want to have in your future, because you're in a constant state of manifestation. So if you really want to have a lovely future and all the things that make you, excited to get out of bed in the morning and feel really relaxed and just happy about what's going to unfold for the day, and be happy with that and content with that, and feel a lot of love about all the people in your life, and who you might run into that day, what surprises the universe is going to show up, bring to you that day. If you can be really excited about that today, you're going to experience that tomorrow. That's kind of how this works. So whatever you're feeling today is what's coming for you tomorrow. But whatever you want to manifest needs to be in that same energy, what you want to experience. If you desperately want more money and you're in this really low vibrational state because you don't have enough money, where's it coming from, and you're in this lack mentality, you can manifest money in that energy, and you're still going to experience, you're still going to experience that scarcity and that lack, but you're going to have money coming in because you're a vibrational match at that moment to what you're creating, you know? So you'll still get it, but you're only creating more problems because you haven't really dealt with the issue. And then it's going to help you do that too today. I want to help you go through how you can shift these types of vibrational feelings permanently, because no one wants to live like in a constant state of lack and feeling like they have to struggle. Everything's a fight in life. People annoy you. No one wants to live like that. People just want to be happy. People want to look after their family. They want to do their own thing. They want to stay in their own lane and do what they want to do. That's what the majority of people want. And everyone's trying really hard to do it. And it can be harder for some people than others. So I want to help you break away. Like if that's the current state you're in today, that's okay. Like doesn't mean anything. No judgments from me, because I've been in that energy before too. I'm sure everybody has, But I want to help you be able to make some decisions. They're going to help you break out of that energy and step into higher vibrational energy that you live by, so that your future gets better and better, like you're compounding joy in your life. That's like really cool place to be. But regardless of what state you're in, whether you're, there's a scale of vibration that you can look at. I'll put a link to one in the description for you. But there's a scale, and it starts at kind of like guilt and shame. They're the lowest vibrations. If you're living in those energies of guilt and shame, very, very heavy energy, and they go all the way up to enlightenment. So neutrality is kind of in the middle. Pride and courage and anger are beneath it. They're also lower vibrations. And everything above that, like everything above neutrality, is like joy and love and all those types of feelings, And it's a progression. Like you can move your way through this scale to live in those higher vibrational states, which is amazing. Like it's a really good place to be. It's a good place to arrive at. But you've got to do the work to get there. Doesn't mean you can't manifest anything when you're in those lower vibrational states. You absolutely can. But when you're manifesting in a lower vibrational state, you're creating more low vibes for your future. But if you're really struggling, that's probably like the best bet for you, is to manifest in that energy so that it arrives and shows up and you get some sort of reprieve and you feel like, oh, thank God I've had a breakthrough. Something's happened, something's shifted. And it probably hasn't. You're just a vibrational match, like at that moment, to what you're vibing the majority of the time in your day. That's what that is. But if you can shift into higher vibrational states, then that's going to be like, that's the sweet spot. That's where magic happens. Magic happens on autopilot. Okay. So I hope like that kind of helps. I feel like I've kind of waffled a little bit on this. But, okay. So you're raising your vibration. It doesn't have anything to do with the object, like your pen or your phone or your car or your house. because they don't have feelings. They can't vibrate at an emotion of love or joy. Only you can. So get into the state, notice your vibration, what it is most frequently during the day, and manifest or visualize from that energy to attract things into your life faster, rather than assuming $50 million has a high vibration of love or anything else, or that you don't know what it feels like to be a millionaire, so you can't manifest it in your life. Like, that's not the case. Like, you can manifest anything. You're already manifesting everything in whatever state you're in currently. So, you need to use this information and use this to your advantage. Don't make it harder for yourself. Whatever state you're in, just acknowledge it and go, yep, I'm in a pretty crappy mood. I'm probably like that most of the day. So if you're in a job that you don't enjoy, then you probably are in that energy for most of the day, unfortunately. That's just the reality of it. You might get home and be a really lovely person and everything else with your family, but for the majority of the day, you're not in that energy. You feel worn out and feel like, oh, I've got to do all this again tomorrow. And like, there's nothing wrong with that, but there's also nothing high vibrational about that either. So don't trick yourself into thinking that you're in a different state other than one you really are in. Like, acknowledge it for what it is and don't make it out to be anything. It just is what it is. Like, this is the vibe you're in, you know? And that's the vibe when you visualize to manifest something. That is the vibration that you should be ideally in to receive what you want to attract or manifest a lot faster in your life. Okay, I want to talk about limiting beliefs and the idea that either way, that you either have to clear your limiting beliefs to manifest, because you don't, and that you don't have to clear your limiting beliefs in order to manifest. Like, that's true. You don't have to clear your limiting beliefs in order to manifest anything, because you are in a constant state of manifestation, even with limiting beliefs in place. So you've manifested a lot of things in your life already with limiting beliefs in place. I have no doubt about that. Me too. I had fantastic results manifesting with a whole bunch of limiting beliefs in place. So you can do it. Like, you can manifest with limiting beliefs in place. That's 100% possible. And some people will kind of argue too that you don't need to get rid of your limiting beliefs. You just need to create new ones. And this is really what I want to dive into today. You don't need to get rid of the old ones. You just need to create new ones. No. Like, no. Okay. You can do that. I've done that before. Like, many, many years ago, I used to do that. And like, it can work. There's no doubt that that can work. It absolutely does. However, you get inconsistent results with things. You get what you want still, but sometimes it can be a little bit off. Sometimes you get what you want, sometimes you don't. You're doing the same thing, you're manifesting the same way. It worked once before, now it doesn't work anymore. What's all this about? Manifestation doesn't work. So that's not true. Okay, manifestation does work, and it's working as a reflection of what you believe. So if you haven't cleared your limiting beliefs and you are manifesting knowing full well that you have a whole bunch of limiting beliefs in place, this is why you're getting these basket case results. They're all over the place. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. You might get the new car, and then a week later the engine blows up and now you've got no car, and you have to manifest another car and manifest your way out of this, drama situation that you've accidentally created. It's hard work when you have limiting beliefs in place while you're manifesting. It's hard work. You're constantly in this state of correcting your manifestations because they haven't worked out the way you hoped. They haven't worked out 100% the way you imagined that they would. Instead of this new car bringing you a lot of joy, it's created more problems than it seemed to have been worth. Like, what is that about? That is about your limiting beliefs. So even when you have limiting beliefs, you're still manifesting. But these beliefs really skew your results, like in all kinds of directions. Like anything can happen. It's like a big can of worms that can surprise you out of nowhere and not necessarily in a good way, you know? So think of it like this. Instead of you get on path and get exactly to where you want to go, your limiting beliefs will create detours and roundabouts and roadblocks that get in your way and stop you. And you might eventually get there. You might eventually get to having the thing that you want, but it can take some time while you have these limiting beliefs in place. It's like trying to drive a car with one foot on the brake and one foot on the gas. You can't drive a car that way. You just can't. But you don't sit there either trying to figure out what's not working. You just take your foot off the brake and then it's full steam ahead. So you start moving in the right direction. And I like to think that as like manifesting with limiting beliefs is a little bit in some way like your manifestations are hijacked because you're not getting what you want. You're getting something similar to what you want, but has like this bizarre element to it, you know? Let me know like if this has happened to you. You get what you want, but it's a little bit off in some way. Your happy end result, your desired end result has been hijacked by some limiting beliefs, and you can't figure out what's kind of gone wrong when you've used this process to manifest before, and now you're getting these weird dramas coming up. And the reason this happens is because your limiting beliefs are in conflict with the new beliefs you've created, you know? It's like they're fighting for space. And so they both influence your reality, like in some way. Absolutely. They both do this. They both influence your reality because your beliefs are creating your reality. Everything is mirrored back to you. And this duality leads to drama, unexpected outcomes, and inconsistency in getting what you want. You can't manifest consistently when you have these limiting beliefs in place. And intentionally choosing to keep them and adding in some new ones as like some sort of band-aid solution allows like these weird situations to unfold. And because you're not fixing the problem, you're just kind of masking it, you know? And it definitely makes life a lot more challenging. Like maybe that's kind of your thing. You like the excitement of manifesting your way out of what you've manifested to make it, to tweak it as you go. Like maybe that kind of is exciting in some way for you by allowing both of your limiting beliefs and supportive new beliefs to play out in your life. Maybe that's, something that kind of is thrilling in some way, not having them pan out exactly as you want. But personally, like, I don't know why you would want to leave your limiting beliefs in place, other than you don't actually know how to get rid of them, which I understand because I didn't know how to get rid of them either. And like, if that's the case, if you just don't know how to do it, then that's cool. I get that. But that's a skill you can learn. There's different ways to do it. And I made it a point for myself to learn it because I was sick and tired of random things showing up that I wasn't intentionally manifesting. It made no sense. And I was getting annoyed because deliberate creation was such a huge part of my day. I was very intentional about everything I was doing, very mindful of the thoughts I was having. And then to have something random show up that completely derailed like this happy path that I was on made no sense, and I had enough. So I made it a point to figure out how to get rid of limiting beliefs once and for all so that I could manifest consistently, that I would get what I wanted and I would not accept less for myself. I just drew a line in the sand. I've had enough. I'm not doing this anymore. No, that is not for me. So actually, inside the Metaphysical Edge live stream in June, I'm teaching people how to do that. The way that I first learned how to do it. So, and like this is it's easy. It's I did it with absolutely no experience before, and it transformed my life. So, and the way I do it has evolved, like over the last 6 years. That's changed a lot, but the way that I did it initially is still something I go back to in many, many ways. Like I still go back to the same ways that I did that back then. So I'm going to be teaching people that inside the Metaphysical Edge live stream in June. So there'll be a link for that in the description so you can go and have a look and see what all that's about. But it's so powerful. And like normally I only teach people how to do this inside one-on-one coaching programs with me. But this is going to be like in a little intimate group. There's a little intimate group of us that will get together once a month and go through this stuff, which is really nice. So go check that out. But for me, when it comes to beliefs, I really wanted to test this theory for myself. And some of you might have heard me speak about this before. So in 2020, I'm sure everyone knows about 2020, what happened in 2020. Let's not get into that. However, I will say that I wanted to test this theory, like to its absolute limit. Like, if my beliefs are creating my reality, to what extent is this really true? Because 2020 was not for that. I did not want to allow things that I saw unfolding to impact me and my life. No, I'm not signing up for that. So I decided to test this concept that your beliefs create your reality. And if this was really true, then I wouldn't be impacted by whatever was going on in 2020, you know? Seems pretty reasonable. That was my hypothesis going into this little experiment of mine. And, to be honest, like living in Melbourne in 2020, we were in lockdown for 7 months of the year, and we had a 5 kilometer travel restriction. So we couldn't really travel anywhere very far. We had a curfew in place. So you couldn't leave the house. Like, there's all these different things at play that were impacting life in general. And so I decided to test everything. And I wasn't impacted by everything that the majority of society were experiencing. Neither was my husband. And this is how this started, right? It started with toilet paper. I learned a phenomenal amount from toilet paper in 2020. You might remember that the panic buying scenarios that happened around the world, like when it came to toilet paper. Shelves were empty, you couldn't buy toilet paper. And then it had this flow-on effect to every other staple item in supermarkets. All the shelves were suddenly empty. Everyone had to have everything in the supermarket all at once because who knows why. Anyway, I decided I didn't want to be impacted by that. No. And if my beliefs creating my reality was really true, then I can go buy whatever I want any time of day. Not a problem. I put together my shopping list and I could go buy it. Seems pretty reasonable. Like, it's a simple enough concept. And I put it to the test because I wanted to know, like, how true is this? How true is this idea, right? That our beliefs create our reality? Because I believed it, but I hadn't really tested it. Like, I wanted, how true is it? Like, how far can I push this? How far can I push this whole concept? Because there's a lot of stuff going on in the world in 2020. Like, how far is this concept going to play out for me? How much can I kind of get out of this? Is it going to work all the time? So what I did, I refused to buy into this story that there were shortages and you can't buy toilet paper, you can't buy anything in the supermarket. I refused to buy into it. Saw it on the news. Everyone I spoke to was telling me about all these things about toilet paper. And so instead, I decided that, you know what, that's what's going on for them. That's not what's going on for me. Very, very clear about that with myself. I had bought into a couple of storylines and I had to clear those. I had to clear some beliefs that I had started to create. So I got rid of them and I created this very obscure belief that I can go shopping and buy whatever I want, even when the shelves are empty. And this sounds like a complete contradiction. I'm fully aware of that. But I created the belief with that in mind, because one of the things that was stopping me from believing I could go and buy whatever I want was that the shelves were empty. So I thought, okay, well, let's just say, even when they are empty, I can still go shopping and buy everything on my shopping list. And that's what happened. Like, that's what played out for me because I created this belief. And then I remember the first time I went to the supermarket, like, I wasn't sold on the idea that this was going to work for me. Like, I had my doubts, and I'm walking into the supermarket and I can see, as soon as I walk through the doors, I've got a trolley. I'm like, might be a short trip. And I can see, like, there's no fruit and veg, like, very limited. There's limited this. And then as I'm walking through the supermarket, like, aisle by aisle, like, empty, rows of emptiness. I'm like, ooh, okay, let's play. Like, that's how I took it. Let's play. I didn't buy into the story, like, I can't buy anything today. I'm wasting my time. I didn't go put the trolley back and then, concede defeat. No, that's not how I roll. Let's play. So I went shopping and I took my list. I wrote out a shopping list like I normally do. And I went through the supermarket and I picked up every single thing on the list. I would turn into an aisle and it appeared empty. And I remember, like, with the olive oil, for example, turned into the aisle where the olive oil usually was and it looked empty. I thought, no, that's not correct because I can buy anything I want even when the shelves are empty. So I know that there's olive oil on that shelf. And I walked to the middle of that aisle and sitting on the shelf was a bottle of olive oil, just one bottle. The brand I buy, just one. Thank you. One bottle of olive oil left for me. Fantastic. Thank you very much. In the trolley, off I go. And that happened throughout the entire supermarket. The exact dishwashing liquid, like laundry detergent, everything that I usually buy, there might have been like one or two left. I don't know, maybe olive oil imported from Italy is not overly popular in Melbourne. I don't know. Maybe I don't choose brands that are very popular in Melbourne. I don't know. But that's not my experiment. My experiment was I can buy whatever I want in when I go shopping, even when the shelves are empty. And this played out for me. And interestingly, because we had this 5 kilometre travel restriction, my neighbour, we could only go to certain supermarkets, obviously. I think it's something like 2 miles, like, if you're using miles instead of kilometres, if you're wondering what radius that sort of is, 2 miles. So you've got limited options for where you can go to the supermarket. And my neighbour, every time she went to the supermarket, she couldn't buy anything. She was really annoyed. That was her experience. So she believed every time she went shopping, she can't buy what she wants. That was the belief she created for herself. Whereas the belief I had was I can go buy whatever I want, even when the shelves are empty. And that played out. And she got annoyed with me. Like, she got really angry. She wanted to know where I was going shopping. I'm like, well, the one around the corner. Like, hello, where do you think I'm going? And so when I offered to go to the supermarket and buy some things for her that she couldn't get hold of, like pasta and flour and toilet paper and air freshener, she got annoyed. She's like, whatever, you're not going to find anything. There's nothing at the supermarket. I just went there. I'm like, okay then. But I went the following day and I picked up everything that she wanted and I handed it to her. And she just had this look of complete disbelief on her face. And again, she asked me, where did you go shopping? I went to the supermarket around the corner, and so this absolutely plays out. Like, this confirmed to me wholeheartedly, whatever you believe is going to play out in your reality. My really weird belief that I can buy whatever I want, even when the shelves are empty, played out for me. And my neighbor, who's shopping at the exact same supermarket in 2020, when the shelves are empty, there's food shortages, there's, every basic household item shortage going on in Melbourne. Her belief was every time she goes shopping, she can't buy what she wants. That played out for her every time she went shopping because that's what she chose to believe. I chose to believe something completely different and it played out for me. So when I tested this concept, I tested it wholeheartedly. And I really encourage you, to test this for yourself. Put it to the test. Create some good beliefs. Really put it to the test and see how true it is. And that way, like, there's nothing that can stop you. Once you create a belief and there's nothing in the way of it, you don't have a limiting belief that's going to interfere in any way. It's full steam ahead. You can rock up to the supermarket when the shelves are empty and buy whatever you want. You get those sort of just outlandish outcomes. Like, how is this happening? You can achieve that for yourself. So I would really encourage you to do it. Go play and see what you can create, like what sort of beliefs you can come up with as well to manifest what you want. And without those limiting beliefs in the way, I know you're going to create it. You're going to get there a lot faster. And let me know, like, tell me all about it, because I want to know. I want to know how this plays out for you. That you took the step, you took the jump, and you started clearing limiting beliefs. You created maybe some weird ones, like I do. I have this other one that you might want to try on, which is every time I go shopping, I get something for free. That's another belief of mine. Try that one on. Let me know how you go. But create something that is maybe so obscure, that is so blatantly obvious to you that you did this, you created it, and you don't have any limiting beliefs in the way that are stopping you from achieving it. So that you know the benefit of clearing out of the way every single limiting belief that is going to derail and hijack your manifestations. Let me know how you go. Okay, so let's chat about identifying limiting beliefs. So, the reason I bring this up is because most people, I think, underestimate the number of limiting beliefs that they actually have. And because I often hear, like, especially like in online groups, that people used to have a whole bunch of limiting beliefs and now they don't have them anymore. They've gotten rid of all of their limiting beliefs. And me personally, like, I used to think I had maybe 5 or 6 limiting beliefs, which just kind of makes me laugh now because we have way more than that, like so many more, thousands and thousands and thousands of them. And you never actually have full awareness of what they are. You just don't. And the reason for that is because 80%, more than 80%, they're in your subconscious, which means you don't have any conscious awareness of what's going on in there, you know? So you might be aware of, like, that you have 5 or 6 that are interfering with your life at the moment, like at that moment in time. But the reality is there are way more. And limiting beliefs are situational. They're not all playing out simultaneously in your life. It depends on the situation you're in, depends on if they're relevant. And if they are, then your mind will bring them up from your subconscious to play out in your life. Isn't that a cool trick? So useful. So we can create all of these beliefs about things, and just like some big filing system, we can access them based on what situation we're in currently. Like, that's a pretty cool trick. And most of the time, like, these are for most of us, like 80% of these beliefs that we created before the age of 7. So we made a lot of decisions as a child about how the world works, how relationships work, how money works, how everything works, what we need to do to receive love, what we need to do to be looked after by our family, to be included, to be accepted. We made a lot of decisions about a lot of stuff, which is really challenging. Like, when it comes to identifying what limiting beliefs you have and what's in there that's kind of giving you these weird experiences, or your manifestations aren't playing out for you, can be really hard to identify what these beliefs are, like what's in your subconscious that causes this stuff. So I want to help you identify like this other level, because there are some really common beliefs, like really common beliefs about money, all that sort of stuff that you might be aware of and you go, doesn't really resonate with me. Like, doesn't sound like it's relevant, but you don't know what else is going on. So you might start clearing beliefs that aren't really ones you need to concern yourself with, like money is evil. Like, that's not a belief that I personally had, but I had a whole bunch of other beliefs about money, you know? So here's why. I'm going to help you identify these so that you can start clearing them a lot more accurately for yourself so that you can manifest a lot better. So, okay, if you think about it, so in those formative years up until the age of 7, 0 to 7 years of age, they're your formative years. And that's where you created 80% of your core belief system. Okay, so for a good chunk of that 7 years, you didn't have any comprehension of language. You didn't speak English. You didn't think in sentences. You didn't comprehend like the dialogue happening around you, and you didn't have your own inner dialogue like you do now. You just didn't have it. So you definitely had feelings. You felt different ways about the world. You didn't think it. It wasn't a conscious thought in terms of vocabulary like you do now. You just didn't exist. You felt things about the world. You picked up vibes from people. You picked up a vibe from your mum or your dad or your grandparents, your caregivers, whoever it is. Like, they're kind of weird vibes. Like, they might pull back in situations and you start mimicking their behavior, like as an adult, because that's what you learned to do. You picked up that vibe as a child when you were like 2 years old or something. You picked it up and you kind of ran with it, you know? So you have weird vibes in there. They're not beliefs. It's just a weird vibe. It's like an energy pattern and a reaction that you picked up and that you decided to take on because that's how the world works. But how do you know what's actually in there, you know? So sometimes, like, these beliefs and things that are making your life a little bit weird, maybe like sometimes you have interactions with people and you just find yourself like on autopilot doing these weird things in front of the same people, and you're like, what is that about? Why do I even do that? Like, it makes no sense. I wish I didn't do that, but I don't know why I do. You know, there's just these weird things that we all do that make no sense. You're like, they're the weird vibes that you pick up, you know? They're patterns and reactions to the world that you just took in like a sponge. So they're not actually limiting beliefs. Let's just call them weird vibes because that's what they are. They're like, you know, it's an imprint. Technically, it's imprinted energy that you pick up from other people because you believe that, like, that's how things are when you have, you know, very little life experience as a child to draw on to make those conclusions for yourself. So sometimes they're not even limiting beliefs. So if you're hunting for something, trying to figure out what is derailing your manifestations, it could just be a weird vibe. It could be some pattern, emotional reaction that you imprinted from people around you at a very young age that you can't put into words because you didn't form it that way. You imprinted the feeling of things rather than the thought processes of things. And you can still clear this too, you know? That's why I love energy work, because it doesn't matter what you want to clear. It's just an energy and you can move it around. Everything is energy. So nothing's off limits. These weird vibes you can clear. Limiting beliefs you can clear because they show up energetically within your field, either in, on, or around your body. Because you live in an electromagnetic field and we can only perceive less than 1% of what is around us through the spectrum of light. The other 99% is largely a mystery. Like Wi-Fi, like we can't see Wi-Fi, but we know it's there. So that's why I like energy work. The second thing I want to mention on this about how you can identify limiting beliefs is there's those formative years, and then there are those years where we didn't really know much about the world. Like, before the age of 7, we didn't know much about the world. Our perceptions can be very skewed. And these are probably the easiest ones to correct and the easiest ones to change, because we can identify like our perception was a little bit wrong. We might have created some beliefs off the back of that just, they're really just not true. And as soon as we can kind of debunk our own beliefs about why they're not true, disappear. So if you can start doing this, then it's heaps easier. So I really want to give you an example of this about, perceptions being off when you're a child to make this easier for you. And so one example of this that stands out for me is when I was 6 years old. I used to make my own breakfast when I was a child. And so I remember this one morning, like I used to make myself some toast. And I used to there was a stool in the kitchen. I used to get the stool, bring it up to the kitchen bench so that I could reach the toaster, put my toast in. And I remember that on the toaster, like, how there's that dial, you can kind of move it. Like, it'd give you numbers, like between a 3 and a 4, I don't know, something like that. But I remember, like, if it was on 3, my toast wasn't cooked enough. But if it was on 4, it almost came out burnt. So I need it to be like somewhere in the middle, like a 3.5, so that it would be nice golden color for me. That's what my 6-year-old palate really liked, was golden brown toast. I didn't want burnt toast, and I didn't want it to be too pale and pasty. Like that didn't do it for me either. It had to be somewhere in the middle. Very fussy child. So I'm making my toast, and to get it in that sweet spot for me, I used to get the knife, and I would pretend my pen is a knife. I used to get the knife, stick it in the toaster, and wiggle the piece of bread around so that I could see how much it was cooked, and then flick the button up so the toast would pop out, That's how I used to make my breakfast when I was 6 years old. And this one morning, making my breakfast like I always did, with the knife in the toaster, and my dad walked in the kitchen and he yelled at me like, "Sharon, what are you doing?" And I got this big fright, and I nearly fell off the stool. It scared me, and he said, like, "Don't stick the knife in the toaster." And I was like, stunned. Like, my reaction is like, fight or flight is to freeze. This is frozen child with a knife. Standing on a stool in the kitchen. Anyway, so Dad walks out of the kitchen. I'm like, I'm not breaking the toaster. I'm thinking I always make my breakfast like this. Like, what's the problem? I do this every morning. It's no big deal. I'm not even breaking the toaster. I'm just making sure my toast is cooked, I want it how I want it. I want to make sure that I like it. So I kept doing it. I kept putting the knife in the toaster, jiggling the bread around to make sure it was cooked. When it was cooked, then I ate breakfast, But I decided as a 6-year-old that, why is Dad always yelling at me for? Why am I always in trouble? This isn't fair. I'm not even doing anything wrong. I didn't even break the toaster. Like, this is all, I get into trouble for no reason. That's the belief I created as a 6-year-old. I get into trouble for absolutely no reason. I didn't know that at the time that Dad was trying to save my life. I didn't know that I could have been electrocuted and died by sticking my knife in the toaster. I had no idea. That's not on my radar as a 6-year-old. I just want my toast cooked the way I want to cook it. And I'm going to treat it like a game of Operation and, not get zapped. It's a challenge. It's like playing Operation. Just touch the toast. That's what I thought. So I had this totally wrong perception of what was going on at the time. This totally wrong perception about why Dad was yelling at me. He didn't explain that, I could get electrocuted. None of that. I just got into trouble. But I didn't realize that it came from a loving place as a 6-year-old. I thought it meant something completely different. So I formed this belief that I always get yelled at for no reason. And I just didn't understand the data because my perception was off. I was lacking context, lacking information that could have helped me make a more informed choice and decision about that scenario. So, and later in life, so what this means is, and we all do this as kids, like, our perception is off. We don't have all of the information. We come to conclusions about things based on what we know, which is very limited. And we make assumptions about stuff, about what things mean. Like, we're always in trouble. You didn't do anything wrong, blah, blah, blah. Woe was me. We all do it. We've all done it for different things. And so later in life, like it can feel like these weird things keep happening. Like you get yelled at for no reason and it makes no sense. Like, why does this happen? Because somewhere in there, you've got this random belief that you get into trouble or you get yelled at for no reason. And it's going to be mirrored back to you in your reality. It's going to come out. It's going to play out either way. You just might not understand why. You might not understand how you saw the world, from that child perspective when you were 6 years old, you know? You picking up what I'm putting down? So to really clear out limiting beliefs, right, that don't serve you anymore. Like for some of them, you just have to identify, like for me in this scenario, I can go, okay, well, it's not even true. The whole belief, garbage. Not even true. Dad's trying to save my life. I just didn't know about it. Dad's looking after me. He just did it in his, macho dad type of way. And scared the bejesus out of me while I was standing on the stool. So I didn't receive it very well. Like a whole bunch of stuff like I can see now, but as a child, like, ooh, over the top of my head. So, but if you are willing to go deep and just admit that it's possible that once you perceive the world in a way that could be wrong, you know, that itself can make a huge difference. I once saw the world as a child through a different lens, because I didn't have a lot of life experience. So I didn't have the full picture. I didn't know a lot of stuff. I didn't have things were out of context largely as a child for all of us. So first step is really to admit that, you could have made some decisions about things as a kid and they could be wrong. They could just be wrong, flat out wrong. And that can be a real challenge for a lot of people too, because no one likes to admit that they're wrong. No one wants to be wrong, not even to themselves. You don't need to tell anyone, you just keep it to yourself. But no one even likes that feeling. It can bring people dip people into this energy of shame or guilt. You can't feel guilty about it. You don't know what you didn't know when you were a child. So I think it's quite reasonable, you just made a mistake. And that's how I see it. And that's okay. You can make mistakes. It's no big deal. And it's quite liberating. You go, oh, okay, yep, I get it. I made some mistakes when I was a kid. I decided X, Y, and Z, and that is just not right at all. Actually, it's more like an A, B, and C type of scenario. And that's cool. I accept that. Okay, no dramas. It's no big deal. Everyone can make mistakes. And it's not the end of the world either. And when you do that, when you kind of come to that place, you can see that you've perceived things the wrong way. Then you kind of let yourself off the hook in a lot of ways too, and it can feel really liberating. And you take back control in a lot of ways. You can see how you've created some of the bizarre and random things that show up for you in life. You have a different appreciation for them. Then you start seeing that, yeah, I really have created everything. I've created everything that's playing out for me right now. I made some, uninformed decisions before the age of 7. I get it. I can see how this is playing out for me. And that is to do that and to be that transparent with yourself and that honest with yourself is a really badass thing to do. Take back that level of control and own it, whatever it is, whatever's kind of happened. So if you think about this example of me with a toaster when I was 6 years old, I would sometimes get people just all of a sudden being really oh yeah, yelling at me for no reason. I'm like, what? Or I'd be accused of something I didn't do, because that's the perception I had. Had this perception that, I was getting into trouble and I didn't even do anything. So that played out in my life. I get accused of all sorts of things that I absolutely did not do. So once I cleared that belief, all of those dodgy experiences went along with it. That no longer happens anymore. That belief is no longer playing out in my external reality because I chose to get rid of it. So now what happens is like I can just use this belief only, right? So I can go about my day, start the day in a fantastic mood, whatever it is, go to the supermarket, the one that I can buy whatever I want, even when the shelves are empty. I can go there, be in a fantastic mood. No one yells at me. No one throws me out of my happy, joyful state. So I stay in a higher vibration. You see how this works? I stay in a higher vibration longer. And this is what happens. Like, this is the benefit of clearing out these limiting beliefs. So nothing derails you. The more limiting beliefs you clear, the steadier you are in your own energy, the steadier you are in the higher vibrational states. Nothing takes you out of it. Whereas if I went to the supermarket and some random person yelled at me, or I don't know, they think that I spilt milk all over the floor in the supermarket or something and I didn't, very bad example, but you get the idea, that would put me in a completely different mood. I would be like, one, angry that someone yelled at me for no reason, or I got accused of something I didn't do. And it would probably like have me thinking for the rest of the day, like, why does this always happen to me? And then you get stuck in this different energy, like, the things, things don't work out, or people are jerks, or whatever it is. Like, there's other energies that kind of come into it. And that example, like, as well, would fuel like the bigger picture. Like, it's more evidence that supports the limiting belief, more stuff to clear. So, but when you don't have the limiting belief anymore, all the evidence is kind of gone. And that's what I really like to clear more than anything, is the evidence. So once you clear the evidence you've collected about why all these beliefs are true, then creating new ones like sticks so much faster, and they can be dominant. They can be a dominant belief in your subconscious mind, so that plays out in preference to anything that is a limiting belief of a lower vibration. So bear that in mind as well. But the more of these you clear, you stay in a higher vibrational state, because nothing is going to take you out of it. And that's how these are connected. And this is why you want to do this work. This is why I like doing this work, because I like the feeling of being happy and joyful and everything else. Like, that appeals to me, not the other garbage. Like, I'm not interested in that. I don't have time for drama. That's not my thing. I'm not making time for that. Which is why clearing limiting beliefs helps to eliminate all of that and bring in a steadier state where I get to choose, like, what do I want to experience? And the more limiting beliefs you clear and you stay in those high vibrational states, you can manifest a lot faster. And then when you do manifest, you get a lot of results that are on point. You get results that are a match to what you've manifested. They're not derailed, they're not hijacked in any way. They show up as you want them to show up. And for me, like, that's what I want. I don't want the drama. I don't want the big detour, and then, I buy a car and the engine blows up. No, I'm not manifesting my way out of situations anymore. I already made that decision 6 years ago. No, not for me. I will clear limiting beliefs, and I clear a lot of beliefs. Like, most days I'm clearing limiting beliefs. And in 2020, like, some weeks I cleared around 40 beliefs a week, like heaps. Because, like, as I noticed them, I would just clear them because I wasn't having it. I refused to allow circumstances in 2020 to affect me. So every time, like, a limiting belief surfaced and I noticed it, I cleared it. And that's what I'm going to teach people to do next month in the Metaphysical Edge live stream, because it's so powerful. Like, you need to know how to do this stuff. So I want to help as many people do that as possible. Like that is, yeah, so that you can create. You can just create what you want in life and be happy because you deserve that. I deserve that. Everyone does, you know? And how cool would that be? Just have like a big tribe of people who go, I've got this, you know? Yeah, I see what I created as a child. No idea what I was doing. No problem. That's okay. I made a mistake. Out. They're the easiest ones to clear is when you realize your perspective was wrong, when you realize that um, you saw things through a different lens to how things really are. They're the ones that are easiest to shift because you can go, you know what, it's not even true. This is what actually happened. And then it just falls apart. They're the easiest ones to clear. So you can start doing that now. But if you want to go deeper and you want to kind of learn some life skills for how to use this stuff so you can use it for the rest of your life, come hang out with me next month. That's going to be really powerful for you. And this month is also going to be a lot of fun. This month's also is about manifestation. So I'm taking you through some frameworks so that you can identify like these limiting beliefs that are playing out for you in your life, and you've got some framework to follow so that you can stay in like this perpetual state of manifestation and where you don't allow things to derail you and get in your way. Because that's how I roll. So I think, you know, if you want to learn that, come and hang out with me this month. I'll put the link for that in the description box too. So you can check that out and come and hang out with me. And yeah, start creating a life that you want to live on your terms because you deserve it. I hope you've enjoyed my somewhat blunt delivery of unmasking the magic today. So, in today's episode, we covered manifestation, vibration, vibrational alignment, limiting beliefs, and some of the challenging misconceptions along the way. And I feel like I've actually pushed boundaries with you guys today. So, and one powerful insight I would love you to take away is this profound connection between your limiting beliefs and your vibrational state. If that's the only thing you took out of today, fantastic, because that is so important. Because clearing your beliefs does a lot more than just free you from old patterns. You know, it naturally elevates you to higher vibrational states to live in, not as some fleeting moment just in order to manifest. And when you let go of these beliefs, fewer things trigger you in life. You have fewer negative reactions coming to the surface. So you're not as easily upset by the actions of other people, and you feel like people stop affecting you in a negative way, and life just naturally becomes more smooth and joyful. Like it's a smoother ride as you move forward. And like for me, that really appeals to me. Like that's my cup of tea, you know? And it's a much nicer way to live rather than feeling like you're on this roller coaster. And when you're in that smooth state, you're on that simpler way of being, it turbocharges what you're manifesting as well. You have fewer internal conflicts, less emotional turmoil. So things can manifest like faster for you with less effort. And the universe has a really clear message when you're manifesting from this space. So you're in this harmonious vibration, you align, everything aligns to what you want to manifest in your future. When you're in this, when you're in a state of like this inner peace and positivity, and that just permeates every part of who you are as a person. So when you clear your limiting beliefs, you're not just solving like these emotional challenges and problems that we all face. You're setting the stage for faster and more consistent manifestations to show up in your life. It's a dual benefit, you know, and how it enhances your overall life and your emotional well-being, as well as giving you the ability to manifest a lot faster and attract the experiences and outcomes that you actually want to see as you want to experience them. So, for those of you who are a little bit like me and you want to create your world your way and you just simply will not settle for anything less, come and join me inside the Metaphysical Edge live stream. And click the link in the description, pick up your guest pass for the manifestation and belief clearing training that's coming up. Save your seat. And I can't wait for you to feel empowered to not only manifest your reality, but command your reality in all ways, because that's why you're here. You came here to do this. You came here to create a life you love. You just need the tools to do it. Thank you for joining me on Unmasking the Magic. Today's journey has been a glimpse into the power of blending the mystical with the material world. And there is so much more to dive into so that you can explore your own metaphysical gifts to create unparalleled success and fulfillment in your life. If you enjoyed today's episode, I would love to hear from you. And please share this with anyone you know who will benefit from adding a little magic to their own life. Keep unmasking your magic, and I'll see you next time.